Hey Stu.
Good morning, Dobber.
Hey, look, before we start, I just want to take an opportunity to pay respects to autistic people, past, present, and emerging. It's really important that we acknowledge that we are living on spastic land. So,
Yeah, it feels like recently conquered spastic lands, though.
yeah. Oh well, it is looking good actually. So, welcome
Yeah.
to Dreadnought News, episode 4. And the format of the podcast is that we'll look at domestic issues, then we'll look at US issues, and then if we get time, maybe look at some international issues briefly, but there's a lot to talk about. So, yeah, big day. So, anyway, let's just jump in with the domestic issues to start with. I'll share
Yeah.
screen. So,
Uh, Another day, another horror poll for Albo.
yeah, this is the Morgan poll,
Mm.
which is probably one of the most reputable ones, although it is a bit left leaning, I think, as well, but not too badly. News poll is generally considered to be the standard, but Morgan is up there. And the coalition has extended its lead to 52%, and their primary is on 42%, which is a stonking primary. And I
Yeah,
just,
that's government formation primary.
mm, and I just thought you would appreciate these comments from the CEO of Roy Morgan. She said, the the main reason for this poll, this stonkingly strong coalition showing in this poll, is because of the rising level of anti-Semitic attacks, especially in Sydney and Melbourne. And so this has raised questions for Australians about how seriously the Albanese government is taking the issue. And the coalition is clearly benefiting from the strong stance it has taken in condemning these actions forthrightly and consistently under Peter Dutton. But no, don't be mistaken. The government is taking anti-Semitism very seriously. That's why they nominated this senator
I
to
saw that.
to go,
Just,
to be the head of the delegation to Auschwitz, who claims that Israel is an apartheid state. So that's, I mean, if that's not taking the issue seriously, what is, Stu?
you tell me. But yeah, look, I mean, uh, I guess you could say they're taking it seriously in the sense that they're trying to encourage it.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
yeah, it's like Albanese is there with Penny Wong saying, "We've only had one child care center attacked. Those are rookie numbers. You've got to pump those numbers up."
Well,
It's like,
that was this morning, and that was after I think over the weekend, Chris Minns was saying, we've got very strong hate speech laws, much in Australia, much stronger than in the United States, and that's because we take this seriously. Hey, Chris Minns, who was prosecuted over chanting "Gas the Jews" on the steps of the Opera House?
yeah, well, no, see,
If that's not hate speech,
an expert listened to it, and they weren't saying "gas the Jews," they were saying "where's the Jews,"
no, well, that's
and because they're
gaslighting.
saying "where's the Jews," no hate speech happened, Dobbo. So
That's pure
a
gaslighting.
murderous Muslim Arab led mob turned up looking for Jews, and when they couldn't find them, they screamed, "Where are the Jews?" And that's fine. That's harmonious, and I would thank you for not indulging Islamophobia.
No,
Yeah,
exactly. The
it's
government's actions speak
fucking
louder than
outrage,
their words.
man. It's so bad.
And let's
And
run.
like the hate speech laws that they keep bringing in, I'm so tired of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Like all 14 Nazis, we probably have their home addresses in the ASIO logbooks that live in Australia. We know who's doing this shit. We know what we have to do, and they just refuse to do it because they can't win without fucking Western Sydney. It could be solved later today. You get a SWAT team and a senior detective. You walk up to the Lakimba Mosque and say, "Give me the fucking guy, or your boy is going to prison for life for incitement to terrorism. Tell me where he is now."
Yeah.
And or your boy, the redhead fuckwit, the day of pride, he's never going to breathe free air again because he's already broken They didn't need new laws. He's already broken tens of laws that would stack up to a lifetime sentence if you charge maximally on all of them. And he does it repeatedly.
Hmm.
So you could solve this in 10 minutes. We all know who's doing it. It's led Muslims from Western Sydney. You can go to one or two key mosques and lean on some necks and say, fucking turn him in, or we're doing you.
No, it's
It could be
two-tiered.
over and done with tomorrow.
It's
And the
two-tier
fact that they're
justice.
not doing it is the wink and the nod bullshit to enabling it.
I mean, it's not as bad as what they were, the situation in the UK. But as a thought experiment, if I was to leave a ham sandwich on the sidewalk outside of Lakemba Moss, guess what? I'm going to be slapped with hate
Yeah,
speech and
exactly.
terrorism charges and all that. But
Yeah, yeah,
firebombing at
yeah.
children, that's not terrorism. I read in the news, though, it's not classified as a terrorist attack to firebomb a childcare center. But,
Yeah, was
I'm
that an
sure,
ABC report? It's
yeah,
ABC Nistan
yeah.
State News. The Ayatollah told us those dirty Jewish children had it coming, so it was all righteous Muslim rage. Let's go home and fucking go. The yeah, it's outrageous. It could have been put to bed. It could still be put to bed within 24 hours, and the fact that they're not doing it, and Dutton should be campaigning on it. He should be smashing Chris Minns and Jacinta Allen and Albo. We know who's doing it. We know exactly who's doing it. Every day it's not resolved is because they don't want to fix it.
100% it's a choice. And that's what we saw in the
Yeah.
United
And
States as well. Like, oh, that we can't fix the border. And then Donald Trump gets sworn in.
yeah,
And like within 15
within
minutes,
within 12 hours. Yeah.
it's like a phalanx of guys on the border. And the app that they were using to, get into the country has been deleted and they're all wailing,
All
oh,
planes are turned back. Yeah. No,
within 15 minutes. Like it could be solved
yeah.
instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so if I was Dutton, I would be campaigning on how many days has it been since October 7?
Over,
Like
yeah, like a year.
400 something.
Hmm.
Like today is 400 of Albanese choosing hate. And just
Hmm.
that's the message. Today's 401 days of Albanese choosing hate.
Yeah, well,
Nobody has been arrested. Nobody has been charged.
yeah, well, according to the Morgan poll, that message is resonating with the electorate. So yeah, they got to hammer that.
Yeah, I would pump that shit up to 11. And then you match it up with Jimbonomics, um,
Well,
which I
I
want
saw
to
it.
fuck every time someone in the campaign says that.
I saw
But
a speech of Dutton's today where he invoked that same preamble that Trump was using during his campaign. Is like, do you feel better today, that, like economically speaking, than you did 3 years ago? And
yeah,
obviously, if the graphs are all over Twitter of the per capita recession in Australia is the most severe per capita recession that the nation has ever faced. Like over
yeah,
100
yeah.
years. Even since the Great Depression, I think it's on a per capita
Uh,
scale.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's brutal, man. It is fucking brutal. Um, yeah, I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm not a big fan of that concept of a per capita recession because I feel like it's too hard. Like you can't just take GDP and divide it by the number of people here and then say, look, it's not growing because
Mm,
we kind of acknowledge not everybody is making an equal economic contribution.
mm.
But I mean, you can see something's up, right?
Yeah.
One of these things is not like the other. So,
And this was 3 months ago, and it's more than three
yeah,
months ago, and it's for another quarter. It's just going on, and yeah, that you cannot get re-elected on that sort of track record. And a lot of people, like I remember you mentioned it in one of the podcasts as well, that no first-term government has been defeated since 1931. But I just thought of another interesting sort of metric is that no sitting prime minister has won re-election in Australia since 2004, since John Howard won re-election in 2004. So it's been
mm,
over 20 years ago since a sitting prime minister has won re-election. And does Albanese have a strong enough record to to be the first prime minister in over 20 years to be re-elected? No way, no way. So yeah,
Yeah, I think it's probably fair to say that Albo is done as prime minister. He doesn't have a path to outright government, and he won't survive minority government. He'll get the flick on that.
yeah. Whether that's
Especially the minority government that he would be forced to enter into.
so it'll be
Like,
interesting, yeah. Whether that's Chalmers or Plibersek or yeah, obviously not Chris Bowen. I couldn't imagine any scenario in which Chris Bowen becomes prime minister. He is the most hated minister in.
I just don't see it. But then they've got a problem there in the sense that they just don't have a very deep bench.
Well,
Like
his main
Albo,
rival, his main rival
Albo is,
traditionally was Plibersek. They hate each Albo and Plibersek hate each other, and so that's why he's
yeah,
struggled.
but I don't see Plibersek. Plibersek's never thrown her hat in the ring, and I don't see Plibersek once she's actually got to wear decisions.
But she was the deputy opposition leader, though, so she does
Yeah,
have.
but that's a bullshit role, and everyone knows it. Well, I can't even name the Susan Ley. Like, who gives a shit about Susan Ley?
Oh,
Like,
at the moment the deputy opposition leader is Little Proud from the Nationals.
what's Susan Ley?
She's the deputy leader of
The Liberal
the
Party. Yeah,
Liberal
okay.
Party. Liberal Party, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that kind of makes my point for me, right? Like, who?
Who's
Like,
the current deputy prime minister? Richard Marles. He's not in the running. That guy
yeah,
is a nut. Is an empty suit.
yeah. So, but and the deputy PM always is that way. The real contender in the peace treaties that get made, the real contender for alternate PM is treasurer.
Look,
I don't, I don't,
that's the consensus wisdom at the moment is that Chalmers is the stalking horse. I don't see that he has a strong enough economic record to be a contender. I think
no,
Plibersek,
no, no, neither,
and because
neither. And I don't think uh, he again. They just don't have a lot of talent in their bench at the moment. Like
it,
Elbow is not the mustard. It's really that simple.
no, but
Um,
someone from the right faction will never lead Labor again. I'm convinced of it, and this is why I think the party will slide into irrelevancy, whether they lose the next election or they don't. I think they're on the
I
downhill
think that's
slope to
right.
irrelevancy, and
I
so
think they're in serious trouble.
Plibersek, as the most senior member of the left wing faction, after say like Albanese and Wong, I think she would be the one to become, the new. And I'm going to say I think she's going to become the leader of the opposition. So that's my prediction. Plibersek to be leader of the opposition after the next election.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think Wong's gone. Like she's starting to move
Would
money
you?
around and buy property and all that sort of stuff. She's making private moves that say to me she's done. She's
She's
gonna go.
achieved. Yeah, she's gone as high as she can go. She's done as much damage as she can do. So she's gonna retire. Yeah, I reckon so too. So,
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I just I really don't see how I don't see Wong and she can't become prime minister anyway because she would have to drop her Senate seat, which is a seat they can't afford to lose.
no, yeah.
Um, and I don't know who they would get to replace her, but I wouldn't. Yeah, so to become PM, she'd have to ditch the Senate, get elected, so she'd be parachuted into a safe seat somewhere around Adelaide.
Mm.
Um, but strategically, I don't know who they would get to fill the role. I don't think she's up for election in
This
this
is just
side.
empty speculation, Stu. There's no chance of this happening because part of the reason, as said by Roy Morgan, why the government is losing in the polls is
Yeah,
because
well,
of
and
their
she's
stance
been
on Israel,
central to that.
which
Yeah,
she's been the architect of. Like Albanese is a passenger. She's driving it. She's wearing the
yeah,
pants in this relationship. So there's no chance that she is going to. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no, I look, I really can't think of anyone in their lineup who strikes me as serious PM material. I
It's
really can't.
is Plibersek. Take that to the bank. She will be the next leader of the Labour Party as it slides further and further into left wing oblivion. But let's just
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah. But then I'm happy. I don't know that I disagree with you on leader of the opposition, but I don't see her being PM. I maybe in a minority government situation following a leadership spill, but she is not carrying them to a. She will never win an election
no.
in which she becomes prime minister.
I don't
That's
see Labour.
never
Right.
happening.
So this is her seat here, Sydney.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's this is the seat. This is the seat. No, where do I live? Grandler. Where's Grandler?
I think you just passed over it.
There it is.
There you go.
That's what. So okay, so yeah, Albanese. This is my seat. That's Plibersek's seat. Yeah, that. And so these seats are not going back to the Libs. So yeah, but Albanese will probably retire to his beachfront mansion. But I think Barton's in play. I think
Biden would be a big swing.
actually that is a big swing, isn't it? 65%
But
Barton.
no, but it's linked to Burnley, right? Like, I mean,
He's an
is
idiot,
that
isn't
woman ever sober?
he?
Like,
Def- yeah, I think like
and
I'm gonna.
she has been. I don't know. I don't like. I mean, at this point, we'd need a proof of life photo to prove that she actually even is still alive, right? Like they have since the voice went down. They have hidden her from the press with ruthless efficiency.
Hmm,
I can't even remember a recent photo of her, much
hmm.
less an interview.
No, she's useless, but I don't think she'll lose. But I'm definitely thinking this seat will flip, Benelong, and Reed will flip. And I think I'm going to predict right now that Di Lee will hold on to Fowler as well. So she
I think
will.
so, yeah.
She's been a good independent, I think. And oh my, those guys, those voters in Fowler must be so happy that it weren't inflicted with Christina Keneally.
Oh
So
my goodness, yeah, but it's been a nightmare.
yeah, and so yeah, Robertson will go back to the Libs. I think that's anything with like, that sort of a margin. I think there's definitely more than a 4% swing
Yeah,
there.
I think anything under a 7% margin is in play.
Hmm. Let's have a look at Melbourne. That's your neck of the woods.
Yeah, so Melbourne will stay with Adam Bant. Um,
Yeah,
you can virtually guarantee that. Um,
yeah. We need
so
like
the
all
South,
of these ones to flip.
yeah, so I think Geelong, Western Melbourne will be. I don't know how that will go. I don't think the Libs have a real shot of turning too much there because they are deep Labor.
Yeah, well, that's the strategy.
Um,
We need to get Dunkley. We need to get
yeah, so
yeah.
East Melbourne is where our seats are, and I am saying with a high degree of confidence that Goldstein and Caulfield are going back. Cole, yeah, Goldstein and Kooyong.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
Because
so too. I would hope so. I can.
Zoe Daniels is like Monique Ryan is just horrific.
Yeah, she's got to be
She's
one of the
the
worst
she is
members
the
of parliament.
worst of the Teals by a long way. Um, which I can't wrap my head around. I guess it just goes to show that it's different skills, right? Like she's a capable woman. She ran a hospital. She's a medical doctor, but she has got to be one of the worst politicians I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Like she is in power solely because um, Simon Holmes tipped a shitload of money into her account, and she didn't have liberal beside her name.
Is this where you
But
are, Jager Jager?
yeah, Jagger is my electorate.
That's a thumping
It
majority
would
as
take a
well.
miracle.
Hmm.
Kate Thwaites is pretty well liked here.
Hmm.
So as you go, it's a weird electorate. So as you go up and east,
Mm,
It gets more one nation.
mm,
Then south and west is Labour,
yeah,
and then along the rim of along the southern border of Jagga Jagga, um,
it's quite blue ribbony.
yeah. Also, Menzies is obviously about as blue ribbon as.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say that it could be. I'd be very, very surprised. She could be in for a fright. Don't get me wrong.
Mm. Yeah, this is what concerns me. When the blue needs to flip 18 seats, they need to gain 18 seats. They're on 58. They need 76 to form a majority, an outright majority. If they get close, like maybe 73, they can count on Dai Lee and Bob Catter, and maybe they could scramble. But we've
Yeah, I mean,
got to put together
look, I think
18.
it's achievable. Look, don't get me wrong, it's a heavy lift. But my sense is that Western Australia is turning bloody on the ALP.
I think so. Yeah,
Queensland will be a bloodbath for the ALP and for the Greens because that Green who took a seat in Ryan, they are only there because there was no Teals in Queensland.
all right, let's have a quick look at it, and then we'll move on to US politics because there's a lot to discuss. But yeah, Griffith is
Those are
oof,
Liberal seats.
oof. I mean, these two are Liberal seats. That was Kevin Rudd's old seat,
Yeah, yeah.
Griffith. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they're going to hold on. I had someone on Twitter try and tell me that Dutton was going to lose his seat. Yeah, it's a pretty small margin, but I don't see Dutton losing his seat
It's not going to happen.
on.
He's held that on a less than 4% margin his entire career, I think.
Yeah, but he keeps winning.
It's just not going to happen.
That's my dad's electorate, Jim Rankin, Jim Chalmers. So yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I don't think Chalmers will lose his seat. So
No,
yeah,
I think I'd say Griffith could be got. I know that it's Kevin Rudd's old seat, but that includes Balimba.
mm,
So again, northeast is really a very wealthy area,
mm,
like a very wealthy area.
mm.
Um, and as you can see, Bonner is a pretty comfortable seat.
I don't see Griffith going to lose, but if that does, I think we're definitely on track for a LNP government. Okay, let's move on to US politics and discuss the events of the day. Donald Trump being sworn in and unleashing a flurry of executive orders. That's
I'm
exactly what
just
we want to see.
Yeah, cutting sick. I look. I mean, ironically, it's you can blame Barack Obama for this, right? Like pen and phone governance. Um, and he started this. I'm going to issue a bajillion executive orders on day one, and then it got taken to like nuclear levels under Joe Biden. Um, but yeah, it's good to see promises made, promises kept. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, this is Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller sat down before Fox News had even called the election. He started drafting these executive orders,
yeah.
and Trump trusts Stephen Miller implicitly. So it was just good. It was really
And
good to see.
this time he's got yeah, but I mean this time he's not going to get played the way he got played last time. Like I'm not sure why he didn't expect the resistance from within the public service he
He
got.
had no domain knowledge. He was a shark
Yeah,
in New York real estate and like Hollywood,
yeah, but
he
they
had no
had
domain
exactly
knowledge.
hidden their detest of the fact that he had won.
Yeah, but he didn't. He was walking in there like not even knowing what their weapons were, like what they could do, and then
Yeah.
yeah, they've just completely nullified his entire presidency
Mm.
with the
Yeah.
Russiagate hoax and like the deep state interference, and then culminating in like scamdemic, obviously. So
Oh, and then just crazy stuff. Like I was uh yeah, so uh they would say one thing to him and another thing, like the opposite of it to Biden. So like he was saying Trump was told you can't issue like I can't remember the acronym exactly, but it's like final rules. So like these are regulations that can be issued. Um, and you're not allowed to just issue a rule. They were telling Trump, you've got to do consultation. And then, of course, it goes out to the ACLU, and the ACLU says, oh my God, everyone's transphobic. Um, and that whole process got opened up to death by too much scrutiny. Um, they, and then when Biden came in, they said, oh, yeah, no, you don't have to do that consultation. You can just issue rules. So, so yeah, I think this time around, he's a lot, as you say, he didn't have the domain knowledge, but now he does have the domain knowledge, and he's
Oh,
also,
he's the most qualified president in history now, since he's actually done it before,
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
he had 4 years of, baptism of fire experience, and then a 4 year gap to think about like all the things he could do better. Like he's the most experienced person to ever take office. I think we're in for a treat. Like this is a really good development.
I'm super optimistic about it. I think it's good. I will say this actually, the Elon Musk Zeke Heil, oh, it just took it up to my veins, man. The AOC was saying that the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, are Hitler Hitler supporters because they said obviously Elon Musk didn't do a Sieg Heil, you idiots. So she's out there calling the ADL Nazis. It just took it up to my veins. And and watching like the moronic press, like they just don't I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, these are obviously extremely dim people, professional reporters. It's very, very dumb people. But um, I don't know what it will take for them to get it through their skull. Nobody's listening to this. You've been calling people Hitler like and getting away with it since the early 2000s, and it's that party is fucking over. You burnt your shit to the ground. Nobody's listening no more.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, it is a signal in the zeitgeist because I mean, that Greenblatt guy is a Obama stooge. So for him to allow them to immediately come out and say, yes, obviously Elon Musk isn't doing a Sieg Heil, you morons. Um, that signals a massive, massive change because under Greenblatt's leadership, um, the ADL has mostly been a a Democrat shakedown machine.
Mm.
Um, and it's
Yes.
only when, like, it's only once October 7 happened and they couldn't credibly ignore the left-wing anti-Semitism and remain a relevant organization.
So I
That
think
their
that's a
hands
big part
were
of it.
forced.
And the terminology I've been seeing is vibe shift. There's a vibe shift. And I'm pretty sure a big part of that has to do with left wing Jews realizing what time it is. They had been like counter signaling the right for like decades and decades and decades. And it got to the point where the very existence of their own homeland was threatened if they continued to do that. So this is where like Bill Ackman, has become a great sort of advocate for the right.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's this huge vibe shift going on, and that's definitely a big part of it. So I'm all here for it. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
grateful.
no, I think yeah, I think it's going to be a big 4 years, and it'll be interesting as well to watch it unfold from Like those pardons that were issued on the way out the door, Fauci may end up coming to regret receiving those because same with Mark Milley. So it doesn't bar state investigation and it's not applicable for violations of state law. But you also waive your Fifth Amendment protection by receiving them. So
Yeah, you can't plead the fifth.
he can now commit a crime by refusing to testify.
Commit perjury, yeah.
Yeah. And in the case of Mark Milley, they're not good for court martials. Yeah, Mark Milley, I like Fauci was that's just standard disgusting swamp crap. You know what I mean? Like, ha ha ha, you tanked the last 8 months of Trump's presidency. You brought us within the margin of cheat to beat him, even though we're putting forward a retarded cadaver for president. And your reward is that we'll make sure that you don't go to prison. But what was Mark Milley doing? Like, Mark Milley must have some connection with Ukraine because that pardon is from 2014 through to now. And 2014 is the successful color revolution
Hmm.
in Ukraine. He has to have some knowledge or some connection with CIA shenanigans in Ukraine circa 2012, 2014. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
That's a fairly astute observation. I don't have any thoughts on Ukraine, although now that you mention it, makes sense. I think the reason he was going to be court-martialed, in our ideal world, was because he literally called up China and said, "Don't worry, if the president orders
Oh,
the military,
yeah,
U.S.
so
military to attack China, I won't let him. I won't follow his orders." And that's treason. Like you're not allowed
yeah,
to
so
call up your
that's the
main
case.
enemy and say, "Oh, I'm placing my military under your. If you don't want me to attack, I won't do it." Like, yeah, that's treason. You got to go to
Yeah,
you got to be
classic
shot for
case.
that, Mark. Really.
Like the archetypal case.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that
but that all happened. When did that happen? That was all like 2019. So this
that was
pardon extend
2021.
yeah, so but this pardon extends back before that. So the pardon runs from like 2014, 2025.
Such a strange thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Look, Ukraine seems to be the thing that runs through it. I'm not sure who got the recipients, who all the recipients are, but I will say this:
Hmm.
Fauci probably has connections to Ukraine because do you remember at the start of the Ukraine war, they were like, um, we need to be careful about hot warfare in southeastern Ukraine because we've got level 4 biolabs there.
Oh well,
So
they denied it, and Tucker Carlson proved that that's actually
yeah,
true.
yeah, whoa, 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 wait,
There were US funded biolabs, and that was shortly
yeah,
before he was yanked off the air. So yeah,
yeah. So, but then Fauci's pardon is back to 2014 too.
so
So
there could be a conspiracy here because Hunter.
the through line seems to be some connection with the color revolution in Ukraine.
So there's also the thread of Hunter Biden. The two countries who he was proven to have corrupt dealings with was Ukraine and China. So there could be something to this.
I yeah, I Yeah, I'm really, really sus on it because I like Mark Milley, like Mark Milley, as far as I can see, has not done anything Trump would like go hard for him for. Like, who knows, who knows what would happen, push come to shove, had Trump said, right, we're going to war. So it was a hypothetical conversation. Obviously, it's a bad hypothetical conversation. You don't do that.
Get the fuck out, Millie. Who are you?
Yeah, but you can deal that. But an appropriate like something that would be in line would be you sack him, revoke his security clearances, cancel his pension.
And demote him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're
So
a
no, he
second lieutenant
definitely.
now, Millie.
Yeah, yeah. No, he leaves heavily demoted. His pension's gone, and with a stern warning: keep your fucking mouth shut, or we're looking at treason. Like if I catch you on a CNN green room talking about the earmarks of Russian disinformation, I will snatch your nuts out and use them for dice. The the but to give him a decade-long window preemptive
Just so
pardon,
bizarre. It makes the whole
it,
situation look so suspicious.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, we've only got 3 minutes actually left, so we'll wrap it up with a brief. I'll just show you one thing. If I can share my
Mm,
screen. So this is from that Roy Morgan video, and at the end, I actually do show some polling on New Zealand, and so the national government is in coalition with the ACT Party, which is the Libertarian Party,
yeah.
and the Libertarian Party is now equal with the Greens. So wouldn't that be great from the next election in Australia if the Libertarian Party polled the same primary vote as the Greens, and then even if Libs are in minority government, us Libertarians can give you a few seats to get over the line. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I think that would be great. And I think I know that we're not really on this, but a problem with right-wing minority parties is that there's just like nobody successfully consolidated it. So on the left wing, since the Democrats went tits up, uh, there's never really been, and the Communist Party is just a joke, which will never go anywhere. Um, the Greens have been very successful at consolidating like the protest left vote. But I don't think that that vote is really there. I think they're as powerful as they're ever going to be.
Mm. It's
I
gonna it's gonna
like
be
every year, every election I hear, oh, it's going to be 15% primary, it's going to be this, and it's never above 12% nationally. 12% is their cap. Whereas if you take One Nation, the Libertarian Party, um,
Palmer United.
Palmer United Party, and Katter Party, and
Yeah, Gerard
I
Rennick.
mean, if
Oh, there's
you
a bunch of
push
them.
them together, there's nearly 20% primary vote floating around now. I don't know who can consolidate it. Probably no one. But were
Yeah.
it able to be consolidated, um, it would be a much bigger force in Australian politics than the Greens are. Nearly double the size, I would say.
Yeah, well, I can see that happening in the future. I think the left wing of the Labor Party has hijacked the whole movement, and they'll be locked in a death spiral with the Greens, trying to, get to the left of each other all the way down into irrelevancy. And I can see that happening.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. However, on the on the way out the door, I think it's only fitting on such a momentous day uh, that we acknowledge. Am I able to put something on screen here?
Yeah, go
Yep, there we
ahead.
go. We acknowledge where we've been and where we've come from. Is that, am I getting some noise?
Yeah, I had a tear when I saw this today.
Oh, it's 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 unbelievably good. I love it. Why is it why is it not playing?
I don't know. Maybe it's the NBN. Yeah,
It could be.
I'll have a drink to Shinzo